It is exactly 4 p.m. East African time, and we are glad that you're tuned in to TV47. This is our afternoon news bulletin and broadcast to bring you up to speed with the latest from across all the 47 counties and even beyond. But first, the highlights. Over 120 officers in the Machakos County government sacked after an audit showed they allegedly secured employment using fake KCSE certificates. 5,018 staff members. Upon verification, 121 copies of certificates were found not to be genuine. Fishermen on Lake Trana protest the death of one of their own, believed to have been killed by KWS officers.
Si jambo la kwanza, watu karibu zaidi ya 5 wameuawa hapa hivi. Wananyang'anywa manet, wananyang'anywa mabot.
Tuko INM, we are starting. We are on INM, we are starting. Over.
We show you just how disruptive technology has been in the recent protest, changing the way the protests are organized, how people gather, and even how they reconnect after dispersal. Once again, good afternoon. Welcome on board. This is TV47 News Now, and my name is Moigi William. Now, let us keep you informed. Residents and fishermen from Trana County have taken to the streets for peaceful protest regarding the death of one fisherman whose death was allegedly caused by the KWS officers. Speaking during the protest in Kalokolol, the angry protesters are demanding for the justice of Daniel Esekon, who was allegedly murdered while fishing in Lake Turkana on Sunday.
Kifo ya ndugu yetu ama kifo ya watu wetu ambao wamekufia kule ni jambo ambayo imetupatia hofu.
Government 24 hours. If anything does not happen here, we will relocate by all means the office of the KWS that is situated here in Kalokol. In 24 hours time, waende waishi bahari. Hatutaki kuwaona hapa katikati ya kijiji.
Na si jambo la kwanza, watu karibu zaidi ya 5 wameuawa hapa hivi. Wananyang'anywa manet, wananyang'anywa mabot. In fact, wanatumia ile dynamic, ile criteria kwamba wananyang'anya watu wa Kalokol maboti yao na manet, wanahusia watu wa Loyangalani.
Na sisi tuko mama ya Kalokol, tunalia sana kwa sababu Gema ametuua watoto wetu.
Away from that, let's head to matters education, whereby already the Ministry of Health and Planning are underway to make changes to try and teach school-going students about sexual reproduction in schools to reduce the number of early pregnancies within the society. Speaking in Mombasa during the closure of the 7th Adolescent and Youth Sexual and Reproductive Health Conference 2024, the most affected are the young and marginalized people in the society, and that if all that had been discussed in the conference is put in place, many will benefit.
I'd like us to just show a video package.
Health policy requires parental consent. Reflect on that for a minute. These adolescents that we have mentioned, will they get parental consent?
Be an adolescent who is living with HIV and AIDS. They can be an adolescent with disability. They could be an adolescent who is also a young mother. And all these 3 things could actually be within one person. So you can imagine if there's already stigma around somebody just because of being young, and then you add on the fact that probably they're living with HIV and AIDS, and then they are a person with disability, it really compounds the situation and makes it that much harder.
The partners that are passionate about the youth reproductive health, and I'm sure coming here has enabled me get more strength, get more knowledge, that in case I need support, I know who to go to.
There have been a lot of learning, there have been a lot of linking, and we are sure that if all that has been discussed in this space are put in place, then probably we can get better outcomes about how we are engaging around sexual reproductive health and rights, especially for young women and the marginalized population.
And now, let us talk matters protest, but not only protest, a bit of technology in that. Well, the recent use of technology in protest has changed how people gather for demonstrations, reconnect after dispersal, and report events in real time. Our very own Eric Monene was present at Thursday last week's protest and interacted with some of the protesters, and here is his report.
In Nairobi, what started as a typical protest evolved into a high-tech game of cat and mouse between demonstrators and the police. Unlike past demonstrations where crowds could be dispersed and scattered, the protesters who took to the streets of Nairobi and other parts of the country were using simple but effective tools to mobilize themselves.
As you can see behind me, police have managed to cordon off the area. They've placed a barricade. The protesters have been dispersed, but somehow they reassembled.
The tech-savvy Gen Z successfully established an unstructured supplementary service data, or USSD service, where one can access a range of support and information to aid their efforts. The protesters also used a range of mobile phone applications to communicate in real-time, broadcasting messages. We witnessed firsthand how they did this, with police efforts to disperse them consistently being thwarted. This demonstrator, who preferred to have his identity hidden, guiding others on where to gather next.
We are starting. We are on INM, we are starting. Over.
Out of curiosity, I asked for a password.
A guy singing the national anthem at 1 p.m.
And within moments, I had someone responding to me.
We are doing it at 1:30.
Kenyan protests in the past have always been marred by violent clashes, but the technology tools used in the protests could have made things a bit more bearable. For instance, the newly established USSD platform offered direct lines to emergency services, allowing quick access to help when needed. However, one person was killed and at least 300 people were injured nationwide during the protests in the country.
Thank you, Eric, for that particular report. It is the banter for me by my director. Now, still on matters protest and digital age of era. Contrary to past demonstrations featuring rowdy crowds, destruction of property and looting, the latest protests are quite different thanks to revolution of the digital age. Social media has also turned out to be a very active tool, so much so that content creators have translated the Finance Bill 2024 into vernacular languages. Judge Maringam had a sit down with Mushiri Mike, a content creator who translated the Finance Bill 2024 to Kikuyu. Take a look.
Turarĩrĩria finance bill na gĩthũngũ. Rĩu ũmũthĩ ndĩrenda tũmĩarĩrĩrie na gĩkũyũ.
Oh well, don't get it twisted. We are not about to broadcast in Kikuyu. Now, chances are high that you have most probably watched this video. Originally published on TikTok, content creator Mike Mushiri debunked the Finance Bill 2024 in vernacular. His choice of language, Kikuyu. He is among the thousands of youths who have turned up for the recent demonstrations. In this sit-down interview, Mushiri tells me why he opted to take that route, which has been applauded far and wide.
At the moment, there are parents who are asking their children, "Mbona una protest? Why are you demonstrating? Why are you hitting the streets?" So we are consolidating the information that we have concerning the finance bill into a language that's going to be easier for them to understand.
Haya. Chena wamba kama ikia sasa ekiare.
No sooner had he published his translated video than other Kenyans came out to publish in their mother tongue. Their tools of trade, only a smartphone and internet connection. The message has been translated to over 8 languages, and Mike says this is just the beginning.
We've also done it in sign language, and this is inclusion. This is inclusion. So when we say that we are protesting against the punitive taxes, against the punitive policies, we want to include every Kenyan citizen, and we want even the citizen who is in the like at the farthest corner of Kenya to truly understand what we mean when we say that this is a government that doesn't care.
At the age of 25, Mike, a biomed graduate, found his footing on social media. From sciences to the love of the arts, he is an accomplished content creator, and he has lately gotten grip of the ropes of activism. A new role, he says, was driven by the need for change in the country.
I think I speak for everyone when I say we do not want any politician to ride on this wave, because this is a movement for the youth, not just for the youth, for every Kenyan, for Kenyans and by Kenyans. We are fighting for the right of the farmer, affordable access to genuine fertilizer.
Government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura has dismissed the protests, even alluding to the aid of external forces.
Majenzi tafadhali mnisikize, kwa sababu kuna vile nimesikiza hii kelele nikasikiza, na kuna watu wako genuine na ndio wengi ambao wanauliza maswali genuine, lakini kuna ka group kako mahali ambao nikiangalia kwa umbali could be even there is a foreign hand into this whole issue.
Mwaura joining the list of other leaders who have echoed similar statements, and Mike says they are getting it all wrong.
And I hate the way the government officials and the government leaders, I won't even refer to them as leaders, the government politicians, are referring when they are talking about Gen Zs, they are talking to us in a very condescending way. They think we're children, and what we are gonna do, we're gonna stop in a few days, we're gonna relent. But then what they don't know, I think the biggest mistake this government is doing is underestimating the power, energy, effort, and passion that the youth have, that the Gen Z have. They've been dismissing us, claiming that we are not well informed. People are just posting videos on social media talking about the finance bill. They are not well informed, where we are informing ourselves now.
I was curious, what is the end goal of all this?
This is now beyond rejecting the finance bill. This is now implementing change, getting rid of all the policies that do not work in favor of the common mwananchi.
And his message to President William Ruto?
We are many. We are many, we are well informed, and we know what we want. And what we want is change. We want new policies. We want the finance bill to be scrapped off in its entirety. And we want good governance.
President William Ruto on Sunday said he has heard the concerns of young people protesting and intends to engage them. But even as the head of state intends to engage these increasingly enlightened lot, eyes will be on how the new week goes, even as protesters maintain that their zeal is only but stronger. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, George, for that report. Elsewhere, over 120 officers in Machakos County government have been struck off the county payroll for allegedly using fake KCSE certificates to secure employment. This comes when the county secretary and head of public service, Muya Ndambuki, revealed that the results of an authentication inquiry for county government employees. The county secretary said that the cases have been forwarded to the police for further investigations.
Upon verification, 121 copies of certificates were found not to be genuine. There is every indication that this number may go up due to cases under investigation by the same body on anomalies such as name mismatch. Clearly, these are persons who never deserved to be in the public service in the first place. They have bled the county resources unduly, resources that ought to have benefited the people of Machakos.
All right, and now to some developing news that our very own Mike Agongo has been keeping tabs of is the latest that activist Boniface Mwangi, Hanifa Adan, and also that is Haki Africa Executive Director Hussein Khalid, who earlier on had gone to DC headquarters and later on to Nairobi area police station, are now currently free. And those are live pictures coming to you. Let us take a listen to what former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga is currently speaking on.
DCI, Amin said was very important to be shared among Kenyans when we went there for discussion. He said that they respect the Constitution and the people's rights, okay? They said they know that they are supposed to protect lives and properties, okay? And what was also important is that he said abduction is a crime, okay? And so that was basically our discussion. There's a lot of stuff that happened when we went there. But the issue of abductions is not new. For those of us who are of my generation, they know there was the Gorokos, there was the Kwekwe's, flying squads, killer groups, illegal groups within the police force. And I think that's what we have to basically tell the IG, that those groups are subverting the law, they are abducting people, and so they've got to protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. That's all basically what we are saying. And for some of us, we have been saying this since the 70s, okay? But I still think that it's the Constitution protects our lives, our properties, and the rights are very clear. If people demonstrate under that 7, the police are the ones who are supposed to protect them, not to tear gas them or use water cannons or live bullets. It's very clear. They should protect the demonstrators, because they might meet another group that wants to deny them, demonstration. And that's why it's their duty, to protect demonstrators so that they exercise that right. And any democratic government should be able to ask itself about the anger of our children, for example. What is the root cause of this anger, right? And they know what are the root causes of this anger. And I think there is nothing in the Constitution that says that if you raise issues and you are angry, you should be killed or you should be, detained. And I think as Kenyans, all of us, if we don't breathe life in this Constitution, okay, if we don't, then you'll be damned. That is my message.
Are there any conditions that have been imposed on them?
No, there's no conditions. We sat there for a while. Actually, at some point, I wanted to get out, and I was told that.
All right, speaking right there is former Chief Justice Jubilee Mutunga, who noted that he had showed up in solidarity with the three, that is Boniface Mwangi, Hanifa Adan, and Hussein Khalid, who had presented themselves this afternoon at the DCI headquarters in what they said that they were seeking answers in what they also termed as rising number of abductions since the onset of the Finance Bill 2024 that is protest against the Finance Bill 2024. Mike Agwango is still keeping tabs on that particular story, so do keep it TV47. More details in our subsequent bulletins. Now, to more news. The East African Breweries Limited is expanding its product range despite a slower growth than usual in the last quarter and the imposing issues raised in the coming finance bill on the industry. The leading alcohol brand now says the new range is a luxury brand aimed at a niche market in the country, with the collaboration of key partners to push the brand across the EAC, that is the East African Community. Joel Kamau, the company's commercial director, says after expansive research into the Kenyan consumer market, the new product will have to suffice success in penetrating the new arena.
There was going to be a
quality and consistency, those are things that we have been renowned for.
And this is to take care of our target market, which is more of our customers that are looking for luxury, they are more discerning, they want more niche products, and they want to feel great. And one of the things we've seen in this is there's a whole trend of customers.
Now let us get back to matters Finance Bill 2024, whereby the Jubilee Party has today continued to support the fight against the 2024 Finance Bill and vowed to stand in solidarity with the Gen Zs who have been demonstrating against the bill, condemning the so-called punitive taxes that the bill proposes to bring in effect. Speaking today during a media brief at the party headquarters in Nairobi, the party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, among other leaders, condemned the Kenya Kwanza government for making life more difficult for Kenyan citizens, where they called for a total rejection of the bill and not any amendment.
One, two.
As a party, we are fully behind the Generation Z na tutasaidiana na wao ama vile wagetaka. We cannot go ahead of them. They are the ones taking the lead. Sisi tunafuata. Na vile minority leader deputy amesema ni kwamba this compound will be open. It will be available for any person who may want to get any kind of help. Tutakuwa na maji hapa. And if it is possible, we will see whether we can also have a doctor just in case there is somebody who needs to be lashed for any kind of help, and we'll continue thinking through and see what kind of help with the ideas. What kind of help can we be? Because we belong to this country.
Moving on, 200 young people in pastoral communities from Isiolo, Samburu and Laikipia counties have been equipped with technical and vocational training. Some of the skills they have been equipped with include repairing motorbikes, catering, barber and salon services. The skills are expected to help them start their own businesses. The director for the vocational training, dubbed Ujuzi Manyatani, Kevit Desai, said that they aimed at giving the youth a new outlook towards life, as they have always depended on pastoralism and herding, which is heavily affected by drought and floods.
With a view of ensuring that they are skilled within various artisanal and trade courses. We have seen young women and men trained in repairing motorcycles, as well as plumbing activities, being able to be involved in hospitality sector, as well as finding ways in which they are able to promote the trade of beautician and welfare of women. Now, all of this makes an important contribution within the context of Dol and the conservancies, by way of ensuring that young people can have pathways now from these certificate trainings to, one, continue their education by acquiring more certificates, more micro-credentials, and eventually, if they would like, they can continue on to university. They can also find ways in which they can open new enterprises, as well as set up service facilities for motorcycle repairs, as well as ensuring that they're involved in water conservation, and they also play a significant role as far as conservation is concerned.
All right, and away from those counties of Isiolo, let us take a look at matters engineering, whereby the Association of Medical Engineering of Kenya, together with the Women in Biomedical Engineering, have today held a meeting to discuss how to engage and enhance the medical sector. Speaking at the conference, they addressed issues faced by women in the medical field, together with the general challenges in the biomedical field.
Well, that has been established by a lady. Has any of you ever seen one? Tell me.
As women, you can be as beautiful as you are. If you cannot show up and show out, you will get nowhere in this life. You have to be able to speak to any audience, any topic, at any point in time. For biomedical engineers, let me tell you about our hospital. We have 3 engineers, they're all men.
This is a very important event because there are very, very few female engineers in Kenya, and we need to get many more platforms and forums to promote activities for the female engineers, to encourage them to have more trained, but of more importance, to have more make an impact in our country.
The advantage of having such forums is to ensure that we mentor the young biomedical engineers. We bring them to space and then we ensure that they are sustained in the space. Machines are not working in the hospital. We don't have spare parts. We don't have service kits because the government is not allocating budget for these particular devices to be made functional. So the only thing that the government is supposed to do is to listen to us.
Mine is just to urge our leaders and the people of Kenya